Tixier's lack of pace at Okayama has allowed Hisada to become a serious threat for the crown once again. And much like last week, track position will likely be key today. Can Seb find the speed to outgun his rival? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is IMSA driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Imola's halls have been the scene of controversy and drama, but to better explain it, why don't we head to our track guide? Welcome to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, but most race fans know this place as simply Imola. This circuit in the northern part of Italy has seen some of the highest highs and lowest lows in motorsports history. The various tragedies that have marred the track left no choice but to alter it in the name of safety. While it originally featured mostly fast, sweeping corners, its modern 3-mile or 5-kilometer version is punctuated by tricky chicanes and incredibly technical turns. iRacing includes the Grand Prix layout and a moto version, which adds one more chicane to the front stretch. Tamburello is perhaps the most notorious of the corners for claiming the life of multi-time world champion Ayrton Senna when it was still a single breathtaking turn. Now the Triple Apexer not only offers potential passing opportunities, but catches out drivers quite frequently. While heavy braking zones are everywhere, because few places allow the cars to get up to speed, overtaking is generally seen as an exercise in frustration. As if to almost counteract this quality, the track itself is situated in a gorgeous public park and sends the drivers through the beautifully calming Italian countryside. It also includes a fair bit of elevation change in which the track is split between the higher up back half and the lower first portion. It's no wonder that this place still proves popular with drivers and fans in spite of its difficulties in history. The Tifosi keep returning each and every time the sound of engines roar among the trees, and who can blame them? Well, this is a pretty technical track with all the chicanes and a wide variety of corners, I have to say, Joey. So this is going to be quite the test for the drivers.
4 chicanes in total officially, and yeah, several iconic corners make up here at this racetrack. 17 turns, just over 3 miles in length, and I think most notably that curved front straightaway leading into the first Tamburello chicane there. Always have to be kind of interested on where you position the car, be aware of all the competitors out there. Also, the Tosa hairpin down there, one of the slowest points on the racetrack, always gives an opportunity for competitors to overtake. And then also something to note at this racetrack, the elevation change. Lots of downhills, lots of uphills, so plenty of opportunities to really kind of overstep the limits on the car out there. And with all of these chicanes, got to be careful with how far the wheels stick out, not get tangled up with any of the racers.
Yeah, especially on that first lap into Tamburello. Is kind of known for that. But let's take a look at the championship because, as I said, Hisada beat Tixier last time out. Tixier only with third place means that it's now been cut down to only 15 points between them. And Ove Trangarade with his second place doesn't catch up to Hisada, but does catch up some to Tixier as well. Those top 3 seem to be the ones to watch here for this season. John Olsen probably a little too far back, although he has stolen a win this season, and that's gotten him ahead of Ben Zocco, but only by 3 points. Honestly, from 4th on down to 10th, it is still extremely tight for everybody else vying for the remainder of the positions. But that's just in the F1 championship. Why don't we head over to the F2 standings?
Well, I don't think it really gets much closer than what we are seeing on the screen right now. A tie between Bjorn Ackerman, Terry Tromhauser, and then look at this, Jonathan Jordan, Robert Plumley. This is 4 cars separated by only 3 points, and then you jump back for the battle for what would be 5th place, and it is only separated by about 6 points from Tomas Tuba in 5th, all the way down to Mats Linden. So any of these names on the screen, I feel, are vying for this championship.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. They might not make as many points as the guys up at the top, but they definitely still score enough that is extremely tight. Now, In the Cup of Nations, Singapore leading by 10 points over the United States with a little bit of a jump back, but not too much back to Norway, where we've usually got Ove Trangerade representing for that one. Another few points back to Spain before you finally have a pretty decent jump to get back to the UK. But otherwise, up at the front of things could easily switch around. I haven't really seen a clear leader kind of show themselves throughout the season. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if things continue to move around. Why don't we run through the race details as well before we get to qualifying?
Getting down to the back quarter of the championship, round 9 of 12. 20 laps today at Imola. As always, the open car setup. The community does love to share setups, get everybody up to speed out there, which is great. No spare cars, so you got to be careful about the other competitors out there on track. Those big old wheels sticking out there. Drive-through penalty at 17x. Disqualification at 25. Pretty standard iRacing stuff.
Absolutely. So we are now in the midst of the qualifying. So we'll be getting the timing screen up here in a second. We're in the final 4 minutes, and it does take a bit to get around. Actually, just looks like Tixier took the pole away from Nieva just now, and it's by 0.04 of a second. It's another 0.08 back to Maximilian Mueller. That's a name we haven't heard of a whole lot. And now Togo Hisada goes ahead by 0.3 of a second, blows them all out of the water.
Togo Hisada coming in with some pace like he always does out there. Right now, provisional pole, but these competitors will be doing that second lap, see if they can improve or if the first one is going to be the heater.
And we enjoyed the American webcam from Seb so much. He has brought it back now for Italy, and I approve. I greatly approve of what he's got going on here. So as he brings it down into Aqua Minerale, he's got to make up 0.3 of a second here. Looked a little bit wide there coming down through that last one. So up to Alta. Can he pick it back up here? This is going to be a critical one that is so narrow and requires you to get on the throttle. That looks good to me.
Yeah, good exit out of that final chicane. Now, we were talking about coming down to Ravazza here. As you mentioned, look at that. It really is a corner before you get on the brakes there.
Yeah, that kink is pretty scary, but the Platinum car going to try and get the good run. Now, oof, wow, look at the tail wag as he comes out. Nieva's now fastest, though, with a 41.8. Tixier getting ready to cross the line. What's he got underneath them? It is a 41.8, and that is just barely ahead of Nieva by 0.005 of a second. Hisada is going to be next. There he is on the screen now. I'm not sure. I don't have the information on how he's tracking, but he has to make up about 0.1 of a second to get that pole back. A 41.7 is going to do it.
Just barely squeaks it out by 0.04 of a second over Tixier and Nieva. Then look at this. Farron Grau sneaks into fourth.
Oh, and now it's Sanchez. Xavier Sanchez has taken that fourth place away from Farron. It is constantly changing up at the front. Ove Trangerade, only 10th for him. I was just going to say he needed a set of time. And he is, actually, he's still on his second lap now. So let's see. Does he have enough time to get around?
He's going to be right on the edge, Joe. I didn't catch when he crossed the timing line, but by the time he got into the first turn here, it was about minute 35. So it's going to be close for Trangerade here.
I don't know why he's cutting it so close. Could have easily gotten out earlier unless he had to make some changes to the car here. But actually, I just looked at the weather. Maybe he did. I don't know if they got caught out by the temperatures because it's 109 Fahrenheit. We saw 130 some back at Okayama, so this is still cooler to that. But with both of these being technical tracks, they have been getting the worst end of the stick lately on temperatures.
It's almost like iRacing is like stuck up in the Northeast, and when they see the sun, it's really hot up there, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, there you can see the temperatures now. Thankfully, not a lot of wind that they have to deal with, even though these cars don't get blown around too badly. Too much could make it even more complicated. 30 seconds left. Yeah, this is going to be right down on it. He must have timed it to perfection.
Coming through the final turns, we saw a couple cars get loose on the throttle, but Ove Trengrade looking nice and clean, putting the power down for the run to the line.
I think have just seconds to spare. Yeah, about 5 seconds left. 42-1. That's still only going to be fifth, and he's about 3/10 off the pole time. So top three split by 0.04 of a second, with Hisada on the pole and Tixier starting in second. Jorge Nieva will be P3 and Xavier Sanchez starts fourth. Ove Trengrade we saw there just jumping up to P5. Farron Grau slotted back to sixth position with Max Mueller in P7. Then it's John Olsen in the 8th spot, followed by Laust Olsen, no relation, in 9th. Richard Watson rounds out your top 10.
Here in 11th, we have Gary Ho with Antti Lepisto. In next to him in row 6, Steve Morris, 13th place. Marco Salgado in 14th. Ryan Walker, 15th. Matthew Maudsley, 16th. Ben Zocco, 17th. David Rossi. Michael Grissinger here in 19th. And Glenn Becker in 20th position.
Start to get into some of our F2 drivers with Will Lamb in 21st and Robert Plumley in 22nd. Andrew Dixon will begin P23. And it's Jeff Saunders starting 24th today, followed by Mats Linden in 25th. On his outside, it's Tobias Harnvey. You've got Jan Steven up next, and Terry Traumahauser starting on the outside of that row. Jonathan Jordan starts 29th. Then it is Akira Shimotori in 30th.
Here in 31st, we have Derek Matthews, followed up with Jason Clapper, Thomas Tuba, Kurt Clapper, and the rest of these I do not believe put down a time. Krista Shinmei, Bjorn Ackerman, Andrew Eng, Christian Tanahoe, Martin Getliff, and Robert Reynolds for 40 cars.
Just waiting on a scant few to put themselves out on the grid, and then we are good to go. And there's the last one. So that means that here for round 9, the engines will start to rev as the lights come up here at Imola. And the green flag is out. Looks like Tixier is decent off the line. Hisada a little bit better. Oh, it's a lightning start for Jorge Nieva. He's up to second place almost immediately and ahead of Sebastian Tixier. By the time they get to the braking, are we going to get through clean? So far, so good. Some 3 wide. Oh, no, we're not. We got a couple cars out in the gravel.
Yeah, and it looks like they're rolling back onto the racetrack, going to collect a few more. Maybe Ben Zocco involved with that one. Matthew Maudsley, Tobias Harnvey as well. But the front of the field's going down into the Tosa hairpin for the first time. Steve
Morris as well. Jorge Nieva went off track at Villeneuve. He falls all the way from 2nd to 10th. It was such a good start, and he handed it away. And this has hurt Sebastian Tixier. He's lost about a second to Hisada already. So a bit of a checkup and a traffic jam into the first chicane. There is Seb on your screen now as they plunge down into Acqua Minerale.
I feel like this is shades of last week from Jorge Nieva. Also got pushed off the track at the beginning of the race. Lost a lot of track position. Got to climb and get it all back now.
Yeah, we'll check a replay later to see if he got shoved off once again. Hopefully not, because, man, what a fantastic start from him. Meanwhile, through Alta, looks like Tixier regaining very quickly. I said he was a second behind. It's now only 6/10 behind, so 4/10 quicker. And that section alone, as we checked the handiwork of him coming down into Ravazza.
Well, and most crucially, when they go by start-finish, he's got to hit those question box, because I see Mario on the screen. What's he going to get?
So they come up past the start-finish line, still at about 6/10 of a second. As they fly down towards Tamburello. This is a lot trickier in these cars as they dance around through these kinks and into the braking of this chicane. He gets very, very close, but does not get close enough to pass. I think we've had a problem for David Rossi. No, he's in a pit lane, so he must have had some sort of contact and is coming to get some repairs here on the first lap. And now already into Villeneuve. Seb is making sure this one is a race.
I've really enjoyed the racing between these two this season, between Togo and Sebastian. I think these are probably the class of the field. And you got Xavier Sanchez, and no problems with Maximilian Mueller. He was running in 5th or 6th.
Able to rejoin safely, thankfully. but spun it all on his own through Tosa. Looks like maybe just a little too much speed into there. As he's about down to 15th, it appears. So somebody way off in front of him there as we watch from the sky view up here over the park.
Trying to get everything back in line here. I believe that was Marco Salgado back in 13th place. And you see some of this elevation change that I was mentioning before come all the way up to the top of the circuit up here.
Absolutely. And that was quite the battle there. Laust Olsen versus, I think, Richard Watson versus Laust Olsen here up at the front. We're on board with Laust as they plunge down into Ravazza once again. He's going to show his nose, but the shallow entry means no way. Maybe a better exit can give him another shot. Let's see who can get the throttle down here.
Pretty even out of the front three there that we're watching. I'm actually got my eye right behind Laust on Farron Grau. He seems to have a good opportunity, but here comes the slipstream into effect really for all three in this train.
Just not long enough of a straight, although he gets hit from behind. That was Farron Grau, and he slides right into Richard Watson. And behind it all, that is going to be Jorge Nieva picking up 3 spots that he would be very glad to have right back. Looks like the car of Farron Grau, who made the initial contact, is going to be able to get back on track in 11th, but Olsen and Watson are left at the side of the track wondering what just happened.
Tough. Everything's getting up to pace right here, and you're just ending lap 2, and this is heavy draft, heavy slipstream. I think it was just an overestimation by Farron Grau here. You see him get right into the back of Laust Olsen.
Yeah, that braking into that first corner is so difficult with so many jinks off to the left. And poor Richard Watson was just wrong place, wrong time. There's no way he could have known that was going to happen.
No, just unfortunate. It's dominoes out there, and you see the trajectory of it just collected more cars. Very unfortunate, but jumping back, look at this. This hasn't separated at all, Joe. I thought maybe Togo and Sebastian were going to run away with it, but Zabier and Trengrade have stuck right in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a 4-car fight up at the front for the lead. And I'm with you. Togo Hisada, from what we saw last week, looked like he had immense pace, but not enough to shake them today as they're going to cross the line all within just over a second between them here on lap 4. Still plenty left to go. Ove setting the fastest lap of the race in the meantime.
And back before we had the action on the racetrack, I was going to say that these battles between Tixier and Hisada have been great this season. Tixier seems to be so dominant on the brakes, and Togo's speed throughout the race seems to fluctuate. You know, he seems to be really fast at one point on the race and then a little bit slower on the other. And here comes an opportunity for Tixier. He's going to go deep into the Tosa hairpin, try to claim the lead.
Just about ran into the side of Hisada, but he saw it coming. He gave him space. Can't get the grip off the uphill hairpin, and he's going to fall back into second. I thought he was going to run into him for sure as he just chucked that car into there.
Well, I was just foreshadowing. Tixier has been so good on the brakes. Togo Hisada shows speed at different areas of the race, and we'll see what really, I mean, this is only the first 4 laps, Joe.
Wow, and if he has any more mistakes like that, you got to think that Zabier is going to try and attack or Ove Trangrade. I mean, Ove loves to battle, so if he sees an opening, no doubt he's going to try and squeeze the car into there as they separate a bit. Let's see what kind of run they get out of Ravazza. If they're not close together, I think we might have replays spooled for the opening incidents that we still need to take another look at here. And as they come off that second apex, that's a bit of a decent go from Tixier. He might have something. Let's stick with this.
Yeah, I think so. I think Tixier is going to have a really good opportunity here into the first Tamburello chicane. Does he look right? He stays right to drivers. And that's not going to be the overtaking opportunity. Togo Hisada, though, starting to show some defensive lines.
Oh, and unfortunately was in the way of Tixier. Couldn't get the momentum out of the chicane, so that'll be it for him. And he has to back off and try again a little later, unless he wants to get another go. Oh, he's very fast again. He's much stronger coming out of Villeneuve and into Tosa this time. It's a much more controlled move. That's going to get him the lead.
Yeah, was able to keep the car down to the inside there, crucially, and you're right, that's what got him the lead. Here comes Hisada, gonna show his nose. This is not a passing opportunity. This might open the door for Xavier Sanchez.
I think amazingly not as quick as I thought he would be, because Hisada was all the way to the inside. Look at him slide, though, out into the AstroTurf, and once again, he is struggling for grip. Now all three of them scrambling to see if they can make an overtake, as Hisada seems to have maybe overheated the tires a bit.
Yeah, just kind of squirming out there as you see Sebastian Tixier starting to run off into the distance. I think that Togo just needs to take a deep breath, forget about those cars in his mirror, and focus forward again.
And what's interesting about all this is Sebastian really needed to do this, honestly, because if Togo kept beating him, even if it was first and second the remainder of the season, Togo would take the championship. So Seb doing exactly what's needed to try and bring home the trophy here and respond and finish ahead of him. Pulls a gap of about 1 second now that he's got the lead.
And crucially here is someone that we haven't really given a lot of love to yet, because these four have been locked in a battle. Ever so often we get a glimpse of that blue car. John Olsen doing a really good job in fifth, kind of hanging on to it.
Like I mentioned earlier, he's gotten a win this season, his second ever in the history of the series. So he's there to try and pick him up when the opportunity shows itself. It did so at Sebring. Can he maybe do it again if things get a little bit too frantic here at the front? He's kind of in no man's land, though. Look, that's a bit of a lonely race out there right now.
It is, and the only car out of the front four that he was not faster than that last lap was Sebastian Tixier. And I know that Togo and Xavier over, they were kind of jostling for track position there, but I think John Olsen, he's got plenty of pace. He's just looking for them to battle a little bit more, maybe close it in.
Okay, I think things have finally settled. I wonder if we could get another look at what happened at the start, because we had two incidents. We had that stack up into Tamburello, and I think we're going to see that first here. And then we've got Nieva, who had his off. So Steve Morris brings it down in the middle of the pack. That's always very tricky, especially in these cars. Just a little bit of contact. And there's Zoko getting turned around. Unfortunately, I think he was the one that wound up backing onto the race course, and that's really what caused the traffic jam.
Yeah, and it's tough when you got all these cars piling in here. And then this is Jorge Nieva. You mentioned he went wide at Villeneuve. I don't see any contact between himself and that number 3 car, but look at this, 4 wheels off, puts him way back there in 10th place by the time it was all over with.
It's too wide, though, and you usually don't want to be too wide into this corner. Yeah, there could have maybe been ghost contact, but it's hard to tell because it does look like he was trying to steer out of it. So I'm with you. I don't think there was contact, but he'd probably have to give the final say on that.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those 2-into-1, and I actually think Nieva saw that coming, and he took avoiding action, and jumping back to him right now is actually trying to make a pass on Ryan Walker.
Walker coming off of a Speedway 500 victory in a much faster open wheeler back at Indianapolis, and currently sitting in 7th place. Now, Nieva was up to 6, so he must have had some sort of problem. Last lap was a 44.9. I wonder if he had a slip up and he gave a couple of these back.
That's what I was trying to figure out, Joe, because I remember him passing all those cars in that incident that he was able to skate through, and here he is finding himself back behind Lepisto and Ryan Walker, and his lap times don't reflect any big mistakes, so maybe just something small.
Yeah, I did find it. He went off at Acqua Minerale on lap 6, it looks like, so that's what cost him there. And now he's trying to see if he can get right back past Walker, who's holding his racing line. So tricky with that little kink off to the right, and no dice right now.
All about this corner exit here. See if Nieva can get a good run, which he does. He gets close enough, kind of draws even with Ryan Walker, and this is going to allow him that slipstream opportunity down into that Tamburello chicane.
Very nice run. He pulls up alongside, but he's going to be on the outside into that first apex. We've seen it can be tough to try and make that pass. And again, not able to execute for now. He's got to be careful. Farron Grau, Gary Ho, Max Mueller, all sitting behind him and ready to try and pick up that spot if he goes a little bit wide. The more they fight, the more Anti-Lepisto in front of them. You can see the gap up there to that number one is trying to stretch away as they once again climb up through Tosa.
You see Nieva fight with the car on those corner exits. It's just wiggling underneath him. And then also Farron Grau has approached this battle quite rapidly. So remember, the number 14 was up there. He qualified, I believe, inside the top 5. So keep an eye on that red car.
Well, there he is on screen, racing the old Ferrari livery on this Lotus. And as they hop over the curbs, climbing up towards Alta, there's a good run from Nieva. But once again, Walker just shuts the door on him, not able to get as close as he would like. I think Nieva trying to make a little bit safer decisions here since he's already had a couple mistakes that have cost him.
And with the wheels sticking out so far, it can be tough to force a pass where you don't necessarily need to. And I'm happy here we're jumping up to this battle. Ove Trengrade is about to make a move here on Xavier Sanchez. We've seen a lot of cars go defensive drivers left. Ove is going to take the opportunity, go late on the brakes next to Sanchez, and pass done. Number 5 up into third.
Good switchback right there just to cover him off. But that third place battle is now 2 seconds behind the leaders. You can see them flashing there in the foreground. Hisada has caught back up to Tixier, keeping this fight going, while those two just kind of squabble for the last step on the podium as they're going to go by a little bit of lap traffic. They just went by Robert Reynolds, nicknamed Back Row Bob by the community, and he actually likes that nickname, so don't feel bad for him. He embraces it and lets them by as they go up towards Piratella.
Something to notice with that battle, Joe, because you literally took the words out of my mouth. First and second is running away from Trengrade and Sanchez, and it's almost like Togo has the carrot out in front of him, and once Tixier got in some clean air, he's both kind of unleashed their pace.
These two have really become the two new major players. It used to be it was Mick Claridge versus Michel Dudignon for season after season. But as of recent times, these two have been up at the front and fighting for the wins incredibly consistently. And in fact, I think both have a championship each in the hunt to see who can get 2 first here. Although for Sebastian, he said from the very beginning, he's no longer fighting for championships. He's just going out to race now that he's managed to finally tick that box. But it's almost as though him relaxing and taking that pressure on himself has upped his game.
I think so. I think that these two drivers couldn't approach this more differently. Like you said, Tixier with that pressure off his shoulders, that weight off his shoulders, now just kind of free to drive how he wants to, and that means ultra fast without any mistakes out there on the racetrack. Togo Hisada has upped his game seriously this season, and you see him come out here, throw down pole positions, throw down fast laps, dominate races, and they're both incredible speed, but how they approach it totally differently.
Yeah, I guess if you just keep winning, those championships will come whether you want them or not. And they're so close between the pair of them. Hisada has mentioned that he's recently graduated from university. He's got more free time now, and that is also showing, able to show up more consistently, and his pace has picked up as well. See, these two becoming titans in this series, just taking win after win. We're now halfway through this race. More lap traffic is on the way. It's going to be Martin Getliff. Has a bit of an issue there down into Ravazza.
You got to be careful with some of these lapped cars the leaders are coming up to. And Joe, it wasn't but I think maybe lap 4 or 5 that Togo Hisada was struggling on pace. And I mentioned that through the race, you know, he comes through with these different types of speed, and it's just from watching him so much. Look at this. We're halfway through, and he's definitely the fastest car on the racetrack now.
Indeed. So whatever was plaguing him before, he's been able to pick it up and put it aside, as that was just that lapped car of Getliff off to the side and letting everybody through. Meanwhile, we come back to the battle for, P7 now. They've caught Antilopisto. He had run away, and Ryan Walker reeled him in.
Good job from that Speedway 500 champ. Still riding that momentum is Ryan Walker as he's trying to get by Antilopisto here in the one car. Also got Jorge Nieva and Farron Grau locked in this battle as they go around the Tosa hairpin here at lap number 11.
Oh, that got awful close between Nieva and Walker there, and actually that checked up Nieva. Here comes Farron Grau thinking about Piratella, then thinks again over that crest. It's really blind over that little right-hand kink there on the way into Piratella. It's quite tricky in this car, I have to tell you.
And it's just such a short braking zone. It's more of a judgment corner than anything. So I feel like if you're going to present a car for a passing opportunity, you really got to be there. Oh, look at how close that was from a slow car. Almost catches out Jorge Nieva on the brakes.
It's Martin once again in the 39, trying to stay out of everybody's way, but you got to be careful. You got to be predictable up there. And unfortunately, that just about caused a big accident. So as they fly down into the last double left-hander, still very close between Grau and Nieva for that 8th position.
Not only that, but Hesada has closed it back in on Tixier out front. I think we've got an official championship battle, race battle, season-long battle between these two.
Absolutely. And now they haven't quite racked up the records that we've seen out of Claridge and Dion. Most wins still easily in the hands of Mick at 93, Michelle second at 57. These guys, Togo has 8 to his name after last week. Tixier has 6, but they are currently, I think it's about 7th and 8th on the all-time winners list. So they're quickly racking them up. Let's see if Seb can get one closer to matching the win count of the Japanese driver.
The other thing that we haven't mentioned about this battle, Joe, that just this rivalry, when you have this speed between competitors, all you're doing is upping your competitor each week. And you come out here faster and faster and better and better. And this is the product that we get out here. It's some of the best racing I've seen.
Absolutely. You step up to those that you're competing against a little bit, and Hesada is certainly doing that. Now, you've noticed something with Nieva in the background. What happened?
Yeah, just earlier this lap, I believe it was coming out of the Tamburello chicane. He just had a self-spin by himself, lost control of the rear end of the car. Take a look at the replay here. That allowed a couple cars, Farron Grau included, to get by.
Ooh. Hop those sausage curbs. Yes, these cars have a lot of suspension travel, but as you can see, you really don't want to abuse it too much, and that bit him.
Just that little bit there and lost a lot of track position. And look at this, Joe. Coming through a lapped car in turn 1, definitely held up our leader, Sebastian Tixier. Togo Hesada as close as he's ever been.
I get the sense these two are enjoying this fight, though, the way that they're at each other each and every week, it seems anymore. More lap traffic. It's becoming a bit of a theme in this one. 40 cars is a lot to squeeze in around here. Thomas Tuba, the next one. Did Walker lose a position? Or no, he's trying on Lepisto, it looks like.
Yeah, he's right here. He's actually got a decent run looking down to the inside of the Tosa hairpin. Not going to be able to do it. Defensive from Antilopisto right in front of him. Tries to get a little bit of an over-under on the exit. Head down into that Piratella fast left. I don't think this is going to be an opportunity for him.
No, just not close enough. You got to have more overlap than that. And Walker knows it. He's going to back out of it. So as they carry on, they've still got Farron Grau and Max Mueller. Oh, yeah, side by side out of Alta. Tixier must have had some sort of issue, maybe a little bit of a hiccup over the curbs, and this means Hesada is going to have the inside down into Ravazza, but look at how tough it is to find grip offline there. Both of them going deep, but for Tixier, it's way too far, and look at Hesada. He's trying to collect the car. Can he keep it from spinning? Where is our third-place driver, Ove Trangrade? He's coming up, but he's too far behind. Somehow, Hesada is still your leader. Trangrade moves into second.
Oh my goodness, what a unfold of events between Togo Hesada and Sebastian Tixier. Joe, it all started in the Alta chicane up at the top of the hill. I saw Sebastian Tixier just going a little bit too deep. He was off of his line, and then everything unraveled.
Here it is. Let's see. They were going past the back marker. I wonder if that put him off his brake marker a little bit. Oh, yeah, he was all out of sorts there. And then it's almost like they were playing a game of chicken down into Ravazza, and neither was willing to give way. They both go off course.
We were talking about that specific kink before the race and how much of a corner it actually is, and you have to get the car settled. Well, you saw Sebastian Tixier didn't have the car settled by the time he went to the brakes, and off the track he goes. What we're missing is, look at Togo Hesada out there almost spinning himself.
If he had, it definitely would have been Ove Trangereid's race there. So he's still about a second behind Hesada. Unfortunately, this has happened so late in the race now. We've only got 6.5 laps left to go. Seb's going to have to really have tremendous pace to catch him back up.
Yeah, but the one thing is, remember, Ove Trangereid kind of snuck in the middle, so it's actually kind of condensed our front three here. Togo Hesada, Ove Trangereid, Sebastian Tixier, all in the same frame right here.
Yeah, it's a good point. It is only about 1.4 between all three of them here. Sanchez still in the background. Seems like he was not able to pick it back up enough, so it's down to only a 3-car fight instead of the 4 like we had before.
And you look at timing and scoring, Togo Hesada still trying to get up to speed, but fastest car on the racetrack, Sebastian Tixier, then Ove Trangereid, so both second and third closing in on our leader.
That was a 42.6. Of course, he would have had a poor exit out of the final corner, so that maybe has added to it as well. But wow, I thought that this would not close back in this quickly, and it suddenly has, and I was wrong. Sebastian Tixier is absolutely there. Good exit on the inside, keeping it nice and tidy there for Ove Trangereid. Hesada cannot find the grip. Will we see a pass into Piratella? We've seen drivers flirt with it. Ove's certainly going to give it a good go, but he can't quite make it stick.
Really respectful from Togo. They're leaving the door open, didn't shut it on Trangereid. He knew Ove was down there, and this has really condensed the front three now. Sebastian Tixier officially at the party.
As hard as they fight in this series, one thing they pride themselves on is the sportsmanship. Everybody very concerned in making sure that there's fair play out there, so you very rarely hear squabbles. Everybody tries to give respect. Still very hot track at 105 Fahrenheit that they are dealing with. This time, looks like they're going to make the corner, and I think we're going to see some slipstreaming down the front stretch.
All about that exit out of Ravazza, and pretty even from the front three, but I think crucially, Ove Trangereid, our second place car, got the best exit. Are we going to see Togo Hesada go defensive drivers left? That's been the move all day long.
He's a little too far back as they hit the brakes here. Just can't seem to get it side by side. He's very good through Tamburello and almost gets into the back of Hesada there, coming off the final apex. If he had timed that a little bit later, he may have had a run.
This is where Togo's been slow. Sebastian's taken advantage of him a couple times into the Tosa hairpin earlier in the race. You see Togo Hesada defensive into this Tosa hairpin, does nothing but close up the competitors behind. Joe, I really think that Hesada is struggling with his tires.
It certainly looks like it. And he's at least wise to being vulnerable there through Tosa and make sure to close that door before they try anything tricky. But will they maybe get an over-under at some point if he keeps doing that all race long? As we come out of Aqua Minerale, we've got a replay in the meantime of Jason Clapper, I believe. Let's see what happened here. Apparently making a pass on Richard Watson, who's been having a bit of a shoddy day, unfortunately for him, through no fault of his own. Down into Tamburello. And, big side-by-side battle. Not often you see that carry on through all three apexes.
Just a really good pass through the Tamburello chicane. Joe, you mentioned the sportsmanship factor that we saw just a couple corners ago, and that was another great display of it.
Absolutely. So back to Jason here on track. That's going to get him 14th position He's up 18 spots. Oh, no, he's back to 14th. Apparently he lost, Richard Watson's back in front of him there.
Just kind of a never-ending battle is Jason Clapper's races starting from the back. I think it's probably pretty fun to start back there if I was him.
Yeah, he seems to revel in that. As we come back to Ryan Walker, still unable to overtake Ante Lepisto, not for lack of trying. And we've seen him this close multiple times. This is honestly a testament to just how tough it is to overtake here.
Aaron Grau's been stuck back there. Maximilian Mueller has joined the party. He's been stuck back there for a handful of laps. And Ante Lepisto just kind of being that rock, not moving up at the front of this train, hitting all of his marks, doing a great job in the 6th place position.
Yeah, credit to him to really hold on to it. Now, Christian Tanato has had something happen here. Let's see. Yeah, I just saw him have to take a tow into pit lane. So let's see if we can find out what caused this. Oh, a lapped car moving across the line will absolutely do it. And you were going probably about 180 at that stage. So there was no saving that one.
Unfortunate there. Just sometimes it's tough to see what's coming up behind you. And yeah, got caught up with a lapped car. And thankfully, this is the virtual world.
Yep. I don't think they would race these cars here at this stage because of things like that. It's just a massive accident there. As we come back to Ben Zocco, another one that should be probably much higher up than this. And we mentioned him kind of hovering in the top spots in the championship, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that today, as we've got Glenn Becker as one of our onboards here. Whoa, there goes Zocco, popping around the outside, and, well, the VR should hopefully have helped him seeing that coming.
Yeah, Glenn Becker trying to get that run out of the Ravazza hairpin, if you will, the final turn, follow Ben Zocco through. Remember, we documented Ben getting in trouble, that lap 1, turn 1 chicane, working his way back up through the field one more time.
Probably just not where he wanted to be at this stage, unfortunately. So Becker maybe not fighting him too hard, knowing how quick he typically is, and should be a little bit farther up the road. 3 laps to go now, so it's really winding down, but it also hasn't separated up at the front of the field. Trangarade still all over the back of Hisada, and Tixier wondering if there's any way he could at least maybe scrounge up a second place. If he finishes 3rd, it'll be the 2nd week in a row we've had this order of Hisada, Trangarade, Tixier.
It will be, and I know that we're still watching Glenn Becker here, and the last thing is, I love the paint that's on this car that Glenn Becker has. I'm a bit of an aviation nerd, and his paint is just like his airplane, which is a super rad aerobatic Pitts S2. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. Really cool that he's got the matching paint scheme.
Not sure if we'll get the time for the replay, but Farron Grau had a little bit of a run-in with Back Row Bob. Just too many cars for him to get out of the way, and they tangled. Meanwhile, battle for the lead once again. Togo having to go defensive down into the Tamburello chicane. He is certainly getting plenty of lessons on how to defend on this one. Out of that chicane, that first chicane, Ove is mighty fast, but he never can take it anywhere.
No, Hisada is just right in the spot that he needs to go to on the racetrack to carry that momentum. And crucially, I think Togo Hisada has kind of learned that he's coping with his hot tires, and he's just like, all right, well, this is the car that we've got.
Yeah, impressive job here from that number 6 as we ride on board with the Platinum machine, watching Sebastian Tixier's inputs here as he heads down into Aqua Minerale, 0.3 of a second behind Trangarade, 0.5 of a second behind Hisada. That's it, half a second splitting 1st to 3rd currently, and it's coming down to the wire. Will someone make a move out of desperation?
Just remember, it was a handful of laps ago that both Togo and Tixier both went too deep into the Ravazza corners here. Is it going to come back? They've got to navigate it 2 more times, including right now.
As they come down into the double left-hander, they've got Martin Getliff just in front of them once again. He's got a nice long straightaway. Looks like he is going to stay off to the side as they get the white flag. And this is the closest we've seen for some time. Ove get to the back of Hisada. He could try and outbrake him coming down into Tamburello. Can he get it done? He'll be on the outside, and it's going to be tough. But if he can keep it side by side, we know he's strong off the corner. They almost all three make contact once again, and they do make contact. All of them coming together. Hisada is spun off, and now almost going side to side. Trangrade and Seb tangle wheels, but get away with it.
Yeah, Tixier looking very aggressive, but this has all fallen into the lap of Ove Trangrade in the number 5. He goes defensive into the Tosa hairpin. Can Sebastian Tixier go over under?
And are they damaged after that? They definitely touched wheel to wheel. You could hurt the suspension that way in these cars with how far they stick out. But up into the braking of Piratella, Seb not close enough. He's got to stick with it. He might get a couple more chances.
He should have 2 more opportunities. The one is going to be coming up into the Alta chicane, the second into Ravazza. We've already seen it almost end in tears into Ravazza. Here comes Tixier. Huge run going into the Alta chicane.
Looking down into the inside. He's not quite there. Trangrade. Oh, but he's... how did he get that through the corner? He slid it into the first apex. I thought he was going to overshoot that thing. Trangrade, still your leader. Remember, he also can potentially take this championship himself. Gonna dive it down to the inside and almost runs into the back of Trangrade. Tixier gets it woed up in time, but it is Ove Trangrade who is going to take a surprise win here at Imola.
Ove Trangrade, incredible heads-up driving to avoid the late charging Sebastian Tixier. Gonna come home second. Xavier Sanchez third.
Toga with a last-minute dive, and it doesn't quite make it. He winds up in 4th. John Olsen collects that 5th that we saw earlier. Lepisto, who has stood the pressure back there in P6, keeping 4 drivers behind.
What a race, Joe. I know that we've still got more cars coming across the finish line, but, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better last lap.
Absolutely. Not a lot of battles. Only one I can see is between Kurt Clapper and Andrew Ang for 23rd right now. And we're going to have what looks like about 29 left on the lead lap. This is Kurt in the blue machine being chased by Ang's green number 34.
Coming out of that Alta chicane, and I don't think he's going to quite be close enough to chase him down into Ravazza. We'll see what happens if either one of them misses that braking point. Kurt Clapper pretty easy on the brakes there, making sure he gets through the corner. Andrew Ang fighting with the car. You see how much steering angle that he's having to struggle with, and the launch out onto the start-finish straight.
So that is it. And by the way, I did hear a few apologies from drivers there, so we'll hear what their perspective was on that incident in a little bit because, well, we're going to end a little bit of an accident there between Clapper and Ang. But we are going to come back with driver interviews as well as the official results, so stick around. Welcome back to Imola. As you see the flurry of cars at the start of this race, it never let up all throughout, just constant action. And Ove Trangray took home almost a surprise win, his first win of the season, believe it or not, despite being third in the championship. Seb Tixier followed him home after maybe he got a little too aggressive, and he even admitted as much there down in the chat post-race. Xavier Sanchez collects a podium that he probably was not expecting there, watching everybody fall by the wayside there at the end, and Togo Hisada, who started on the pole, only collects fourth today. John Olsen was P5 as Antti Lepisto finished 6th, and then Ryan Walker was 7th. Max Mueller finished P8. Then it is Farron Grau in 9th, followed by Marco Salgado rounding out your top 10.
Here in 11th place position, we have Richard Watson, followed up with our biggest mover of the day. Surprise, surprise, Jason Clapper. Jorge Nieva falls all the way back to 13th position with a couple of those off-track incidents. Gary Ho, 14th. Ben Zocco climbing back inside the top 15. Glenn Becker had that battle with Ben there at the end, comes home 16th. Will Lamb, 17th. Michael Grissinger in the 18th place position. Robert Plumley, 19th. And Mats Linden inside the top 20.
Andrew Dixon was 21st, followed by Jan Steven in 22nd. Then it was Kurt Clapper in P23. Andrew Ang finished 24th in that close fight we saw all the way to the line. Bjorn Ackerman, 25th. Christo Chenmai in the 26th position was followed by Terry Traumahauser and Jonathan Jordan in 28th. Tobias Harnby was our last driver to see the checkered flag on the lead lap in 29th. Akira Shimatori was 30th, first car lap down.
As you mentioned, David Rossi also one lap down, and the rest of these cars multiple laps down or DNFs. Derek Matthews, Robert Reynolds, Martin Getliff, Christian Tannehout. We saw that problem on the front straight. Thomas Tuba, Laust Olsen, unfortunately, out very early. D. Morris, Maudsley, and Jeff Saunders.
That's going to take us to our second place finisher in this race, Sebastian Tixier, who had a wild last lap. Let's hear about his opinion. Seb, I saw some apologies and some good feelings all around from everybody despite the bad finish. I'd say the hatchet is buried. Is everybody okay after that one?
Oh, yeah. My mistake. I wanted to tuck behind Ove to stay behind him to take advantage to pass Togo, but he didn't accelerate as soon as I thought he would. And my car climbed his car. It was very weird on my screen. It's like, no, just I thought he was just going to tap a little bit, but no, my car just climbed. And I think it was like some kind of netcode, and it pushed Togo. Yeah, that's not the way I wanted to finish. I wanted to have a battle. Yeah, quite disappointed. I wanted to win this one because I'm half Italian, so it's kind of my half national Grand Prix. And yeah, but I made too much mistakes, so yeah, I didn't deserve it.
Sorry it couldn't have been a better finish, but you guys gave us such an incredible battle. You, Ove, Togo, and Xavier was in there as well early in the race. Is that usually a lot more fun having four drivers to fight against, or would you have preferred this one to be a little bit more calm?
Well, yeah, I don't know. For this track in particular, because it's my favorite track, I would have preferred to be alone in front and win. But no, it was very, very fun. When I made my mistake, and Togo also, I think almost like go on the dirt with me. It was crazy. And then Ove was there and was like, oh no, it's Okayama again. Ove between Togo and me. And then I was like, okay, I will push very hard to try to pass Ove. I was hoping him to do some move. He was waiting, I think, late to, because if he miss his move, he don't want me to take advantage. So yeah, it was crazy, really crazy last lap, and even like the last braking zone, I was so stressed. I turned too soon. I went in the grass and then I couldn't brake. I locked up. No, I don't want to kill Ove also. So yeah, crazy finish.
It was indeed. Well, with you being half Italian, Joey is wondering if you're going to go celebrate with some pasta after this one, because you still got a podium.
You see my pasta here? It's pretty ready.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I didn't even see that.
No,
Great.
It's like super late. No, I'm going to practice for Camel because it's Monza also. So yeah, that's my plan for tonight.
All right. Well, the Italian webcam will still work. Congratulations on a second place tonight.
Thank you.
Sebastian Tixier there in P2. And we don't have Sanchez here, but does sound like Joey's caught up with Togo Hisada to get his perspective.
Togo Hisada finishing 4th today. A little bit of a heartbreak on the final couple laps. How do you feel after that one?
Yeah, that's not the best ending for me, but through the race, but it's really clean and really hard. Really enjoy that, and that's why. And I'm feel not so disappointed. That's a really good race. Yeah.
Well, Togo, talk me through. It seemed like your car, once you and Tixier went off in the final turn, about 3/4 of the way through the race, it seemed like you struggled with your car. Were the tires just overheated, or what happened?
Yeah, overheated. And he mistake in the chicane, and he's so fast on the exit of the last corner and acceleration today, so really hard to make the move on the turn 1. So I tried to find somewhere different place to overtake, and his mistake in the chicane. So that's the only opportunity for me. So yeah.
Well,
I'm late. Yeah.
I was going to say, Togo, I know 4th place isn't how you wanted to come home today, but we are loving the battle between you and Sebastian out on the racetrack. It is some of the best racing we have seen in this series. So whatever it is that you are doing, keep it up, and looking forward to Alton. How do you feel going into next week?
Yeah, still looking forward to. Yeah, I have to practice and I have to only just do the great race.
Well, Togo Hisada coming home 4th today. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, my family, and my father, my grandfather, and the Lotus 49 community, and this Global Sim Racing channel streaming team.
Well, that is Togo Hisada coming home 4th today, one of our championship contenders.
Which is going to close us out for today. So a big thank you goes to the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thanks to the team, Rob, Joey, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As we mentioned, the next race at Oulton Park will be Saturday, March 20th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here because, as we said, we've got Camel up next at Monza at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.